They drive to the point where the car breaks down. They go on a hike, like old school days. Joel's like, hey, we're going on a hike, just like the old days, Ellie. You know,
only a 5-hour hike.
Nothing's changed. Nothing at all.
We no longer have a purpose.
And I murdered a whole heap of people for you.
Oh shit, no, I didn't.
Ah! They wander up the hill. Ellie reveals... They're talking about Sarah too, which is nice. And it was a nice.
Yeah, I loved that. I'm sure there's people who didn't. But I fucking loved it. I was like,
I feel like we've earned it from a non-gamer perspective, and I feel like it makes sense at this point. And I feel like, yeah, it completes this crazy emotional arc that we've been on from episode 1. It's crazy how far they come. I knew what was going to happen. I knew to a degree where we'd end up, but there was just so much more depth to it, and like detail and complexity to the emotional dynamics at play, even with like the morality and what Joel does and stuff, and Ellie's feelings and Joel's feelings. It's all very sophisticated on like a emotional level.
Yeah, and it's not unbelievable. I think that's the best part. There's so many things I watch in shows and movies. I'm like, fuck off.
Yeah, it's tapping into a real universal emotions that we all go through. So we open with some desolate landscapes of winter. We see this congregation, we meet David, this preacher, and immediately you can tell that something's off with these people. They're like starved and they're scared and they're weary, and this creeper is reading from the Bible. We then have James, his first-hand man, played by old Troy Baker.
Troy Baker. Oh, fuck yeah. I knew, recognized him straight away. I was like, Joe.
And yeah, it's cool that he gets such a big role here. It's not like a little cameo. It's like a supporting cast member in this episode.
They really fleshed out that character from the game too.
Yeah.
I still believe. It's been, the last 6 months have been hard. For all of us. But I need to know you're with me. Yeah.
We'll then cut to old Ellie and Papa Pedro, and his wound is not doing well. It's infected, it's yellow, it's puscular. She has to go out and get food because they're running low on food. Shit's getting really desperate.
In the middle of fucking winter too, nonetheless.
They've already, not just winter, but like it's blowing wind, it's covered in, like the whole atmosphere is just like dreary and down and desolate and like barren and dangerous. Everybody's kind of fighting for their life in this episode. She goes out, she shoots a deer. It's not a realistic hunting sequence, but I don't think that matters. I don't think you can really depict a realistic hunting sequence in a television show. If they did, it'd show her like crawling silently on her hands and knees for like hours and then like aiming at a deer that's really far away and making sure she was downwind and like...
It's just not necessary.
No, I mean, it did kind of stick out to me. I listened to so much Joe Rogan that I was like,
So I was like, completely like, hunting.
I mean, I've never gone hunting. So I'm no fucking expert on hunting. But I just listened to Joe Rogan enough to know that, that deer would have hurt her and been gone and smelled her and been gone. You can't just like walk up to a deer and be like...
Yeah, in the game you have to take it down with a bow and arrow, so it takes a few hits.
Yeah,
and
that's
like,
brutal.
Like sprints, you have to follow his blood trail and shit.
Yeah, that's brutal.
And in the game, at that point, that's directly cut from where Joel gets impaled and falls off the horse. So you don't even know if Joel's alive. Like, you're just like playing as Ellie all of a sudden. It's like, what? I've been Joel this whole time. Now I'm Ellie with a bow and arrow in the middle of a fucking... in the snow.
Winter.
Yeah.
The deer runs away, it dies in front of David and James, and then Ellie rocks up and she's doing her best Joel impression here, trying to be badass, kind of being badass, but you know, the rifle's very big and she's putting on a low voice. It's like, put your guns down, both here! And they're kind of like,
Yeah, in the game she's using, like I said, the bow and arrow, but they don't find the deer. Like, she finds it, goes over to it, and then they come out from behind the trees.
Mm.
And she just instantly with a bow and arrow, and then she goes, "I'll take your rifle," you know?
Yeah. David immediately seems to like be drawn to her or have some kind of respect or interest in her. He tells James to go back to the... This guy's name, right? James?
Yeah, James.
Yeah, he tells James to go back and get penicillin for Joel. It's funny that penicillin is a fungi. That's kind of ironic that fungi has destroyed everything.
Well, I mean, when you think about the first episode, what does he say? He's like, he starts talking about how all this shit comes from fungus. What's that for? What's that for? What's that for? And then what's this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it has a lot of good to it, but fuck me.
It also destroyed everything.
It talks about how it affects the mind, like the mushrooms, like I don't know the term, but he said it. And like LSD, where is it from? Fungus?
Yeah. Like psilocybin. That's a type of psychedelic mushroom. Not that I'm familiar with any such avenues, ladies and gentlemen. Mushrooms are bad!
That was the term, the word I was looking for.
Yeah, psilocybin. There's a few other different types of psychedelic mushroom, but psilocybin is the most common.
I do want to bring up too, before he sends him off, James off to get fucking the penicillin or whatever. Just like, I don't know, James seemed like he knew what was up already. He's like, fuck that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like, why should I do that?
Yeah.
There's two of us, there's one of her. She may have the gun on us, but...
Yeah, and then David says, this isn't code, go and get it, because he thinks, like, what are we doing? We're just going to kill this girl. It's also a great moment at the beginning before we cut to Ellie and Papa Pedro, where James... He doesn't challenge David, but David's like, are we still on board? And he's like, yeah.
You're still gonna follow me, sort of thing?
But
like,
mate...
I guess can't, but you're fucked.
It's getting rough, eh? She's getting rough.
Yeah, it's a classic thing where you probably sound like, oh yeah, and then like you get too deep.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's go on.
David and Ellie go into this little shack. And David immediately like starts to try to talk to her and like get into her head and all of that like manipulation and control.
Can I just cut in before that?
You may.
In the game, they go inside the little shack to get warm and she's the same line, you know, take him with us. You know, so he drags it off or whatever and they go in.
A real deer they used, by the way. Continue.
Oh, nice.
Well, there's a couple shots of like a live action deer. A lot of the times now it'd just be all CGI, even the close-up shots, so I appreciated that.
Yeah, no, fuck yeah. And at that point, that shack gets like done by infected. They just fucking start storming the place, and Ellie and David kind of have to fight together to take them down.
Yeah.
And that's why Ellie kind of starts to, I guess, not trust him, but be less hostile towards him because they've had to fight together and like live and die together, sort of thing. And that's when. After that, they even have to fight a bloater.
Yeah, true.
I think. Maybe not. I don't know. I know there's a bunch of clickers. But anyway.
Yeah.
Either way, and that's when he would start talking to her. And just by a fire outside. Like, they still did the fire in the show, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then go on. Anyway, continue. I just wanted to point that out, that's what happens in the game before that. I can understand why people would be shitty that they didn't put infected there. But I think that it wasn't necessary.
Yeah.
Like, it added an extra element, I guess.
Yeah. From a non-gamer perspective, yeah, I don't know. I guess they could put an action sequence there. I don't know if it'd take away from the threat of David if they're like just a bunch of clickers swanning around and shit. That might take away from David's menacingness, maybe.
It just, it's obviously it was a cutscene, but it kind of gave something that was shown was happening while James was off getting the medicine. Like in the show, it's kind of like it's been 2 minutes and he's back, sort of thing.
They have a little conversation.
Fucking epic conversation though.
It builds to a great reveal, which I did not at all see coming.
Ellie didn't even she was still very standoffish. She didn't give him shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was just so cool to see.
And you could see he was kind of like playing her. He was agreeing with everything she said. There's a moment where like she's insulting him and he's like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, he's so charismatic.
Yeah.
Charismatic
but creepy, And then he drops the bombshell. He's like, 4 of our guys went away and one of them was murdered. He had a kid just like you. The guy that murdered him was with a little girl, and I was like, Gah! And just like the tension and suspense mounts at that moment. James is there with a gun. And old fucking David lets her go. He's just like, let her go. Let her go, James.
David's like, fuck that! Like, he's pissed at this point. But, like, I'm sorry. Can you not see where he's going with this?
And they get the deer. Yeah, and they give her the penicillin, so it's kind of a fair trade-off. But just the fact that she is with Joel, and Joel murdered this guy who they're obviously close with. Yeah, James immediately wants to murder her, and David's like, no. We will keep her.
And that's why he was so pissed about getting her the penicillin, because like he knew already who she was.
Yeah, they probably picked it up instantly. A little girl. How many little girls are swanning around in this particular...
She happens to be out by herself. You know that the guy who was protecting the little girl got fucked up.
Yeah. So she goes back to Papa Pedro. I'm not going to do that every time.
You're totally going to do that every time, aren't you?
Yes. Yeah, she just injects the penicillin like straight into the wound. She has no idea what to do or like how to apply it properly.
She's like, fuck it. But the good thing is she didn't just know. Like she had a moment like, fuck, I didn't think this far ahead.
And that adds to like the tense atmosphere because she's got the cure or got a way to help him at least, and she doesn't know how to use it, and she's like by herself.
Imagine if you stabbed it and it did nothing because you were a fuckhead who did it to the wrong fucking place.
I don't think that's the proper way to apply penicillin to a puscular wound, but yeah, she doesn't know how much, she doesn't know how often. In the morning again, she just injects the same spot again, like, I don't know.
And just assumed how often you had to do it, sort of thing. But I guess night and day. It's kind of, fair enough.
Yeah. And we cut back to old David at the congregation. We get that great scene where that guy brings in meat for the stew, and she's like, what is it? And he's like, it's venison.
And you fully believe it because they did just catch a deer.
Yeah. They didn't seal it off though, they just like got the chunks and dropped them in the soup. And I like yelled at that TV at that point. I was like, you gotta seal it off, man. What the fuck are you
still
doing?
Cooking for people.
Yeah, you're cooking people, but you're cooking, like, you might as well have like the nice flavour there.
Yeah, if you're gonna, you make those people taste fucking great.
Yeah. And it'd be tough, wouldn't it, if you didn't seal it off and you just chunked like raw chunks into the boiling stew?
I mean, if they're
depending on how long
you're leaving it for hours, they're braising it. You know, it will soften eventually. That's why stews are so good. But yeah, I always brown them first.
Yeah.
It definitely would be nowhere near as good.
Yeah.
Didn't even season it.
Didn't even season it.
But I guess at that point they're so starving they didn't give up.
I don't know if they have salt and pepper.
But like, if you're starving, you'd still want to fucking. You could still sear it even without seasoning though.
You can still sear it.
But I just don't. Yeah, like if I haven't eaten in ages, I'm gonna make that the best fucking stew that I possibly could.
Even if it is Gary.
But they don't know it's Gary.
I think the cooks kind of suspect.
They wouldn't have asked what it was if they didn't, right?
I mean, they're preparing the meat. They would have some insight into the situation. Suspicions.
Well, and
at the very least.
They probably know what venison, like the colour of the meat and shit as well.
Yeah, exactly. David and James return. Well, they return with the deer at this point after they've showed the scene with the venison.
Yeah.
He starts rattling on with his bullshit. He says there's a rumor that we found a little girl, and the guy's daughter of the guy's dad, who Joel killed, is like, we should get vengeance, and David's just like, just slaps her out of her chair, and then like tries to comfort her. He like beats the shit out of her, and then he like brings her under his wings, like, I'm your daddy now, you don't need another daddy, we're friends,
that was
I'm good.
Fucking weird, man.
Like, he's just like a atypical like manipulator and sociopath, and
he even though he's clearly not a good person, carries that leadership quality to him.
Absolutely.
And I mean, in that sort of situation, wouldn't you want someone who's capable of anything to be kind of calling the shots?
That's what I said about Winston Churchill. He was the right man for the right job. He was the Prime Minister in England during World War II, and decisions have to be made. I guess they could have all starved to death.
Yeah, it is. It's fucked up, but it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
But that his demeanor, fuck me. This guy, like, they fleshed his character out so much. Like, he was a very important part in the game, obviously, as well. But they definitely fleshed him out. He looks completely different.
Yeah, true.
But the character feels the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just deeper.
That's awesome. It feels like really opposite to Jackson too, the town with Tommy, where it was like a democracy.
So welcoming.
And it was functioning. And like,
there would be times they actually fucking kill cunts too, though.
Yeah, they would have their dark sides. But yeah, this was like a dictatorship or like a theocracy with the whole religious thing. And
not like the crazy cunts in fucking... Well, it's not Pittsburgh in the show, is it? But, yeah, they would just kill everyone, like...
Yeah.
At least in the game.
Yeah.
They would just kill everyone, doesn't matter, but David still would be very... I feel like he'd bring people to him and then decide.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. We cut back to Ellie. She's feeding her horse and she sees...
Oh, can I just point back? I've wanted to mention this before, but I realised it halfway through the last combo. But back when, after she did that and she all curls up next to him and shit...
Yeah.
That was in the game. I was actually talking about that in the other episode, and I was like... They fucking did it!
Yeah.
Yes, they keep doing that, making me think they're not going to do it. And then doing it in the next episode or a couple of episodes
later. For the porno mag bit, I'm like, they could do it in the next episode. You're like, there's no way. And they did it in the next episode.
And I was like... I'm glad they did that.
Yeah, no, it was a cute little moment. She goes out hunting or attempting to hunt again. She sees the bird move. And this is...
I don't know how she didn't put 2 and 2 together though. Honestly, she could have spent that night. I guess you couldn't really move Joel, could you?
It'd be very... Yeah, not really. Not if he can not hold up his own weight on a horse. That wouldn't work. We could lay him over. It'd be a lot.
Yeah.
It'd be, a fucking challenge and a half.
In the game, she didn't work it out either. She just curled up in a ball.
Yeah.
That's obviously what the cunt's doing.
I think she just wasn't thinking. She just ran back with the penicillin.
Yeah, that's fair. She probably didn't know if they knew how to track sort of thing.
Yeah. And yeah, here comes David and his fucking crew. She goes down and she gives Joel a knife.
David being there was a shock.
Yeah, true.
He wasn't there in the game.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, she's like, if somebody comes down and attacks you, you gotta fucking defend yourself.
Kill him, cunt. He really was there as fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. She draws him off by like riding her horse past him and like shooting. I didn't think you need to shoot. That kind of escalates the situation to the next level like immediately as soon as gunfire is even anywhere. I mean, she just wants him to chase her, right? She doesn't want to
obvious. Like what she should have done is gone off, like almost to seem like obviously, but to seem like she's trying to just get away instead of fucking
riding up and being like, "Hey guys, follow me! Don't check the houses."
Hey, look, an obvious distraction.
Yeah. They get into a little chase sequence, and James, old fucking Troy Baker, Joel 2.0, shoots the horse, and I really liked here how Ellie went down and she was like fucking rattled and hurt and like she was all messed up. There's too many times in movies where people crash cars or come off motorbikes or like fall great distances and then they're just like up again and doing the thing.
You'd be in fucking pain, your whole vibrating and like, ever falling on your head and just like
this is like the weight of a horse and the force of the speed of the horse.
The horse and land on a leg.
Yeah, and then you falling and hitting the ground. James goes to shoot her and David's like, nah.
Lucky, fuck me, he was ready to do it and everyone else is like, fucking do it, shoot it. But then David, he just knows, he just yells from the distance.
It's like, nah.
Love when we both went straight for the bogan. Nah. You know you cool, mate, but nah.
That's his
yeah.
Coming out of this.
Yeah, straight,
mate.
Great Northern.
Calafito Cerveza. Australian beers.
But yeah, no, that was fucking cool. Like,
and then he's like, you guys want your revenge, search the houses, get Papa Pedro.
Can we call him Joel? He portrays the character so well.
We should give him the respect by calling him Joel.
Yeah.
But during the Mandalorian review, I'm going to call him Papa Pedro.
Okay, well, you call him Papa Pedro for that entire thing, I couldn't give a shit. He's Joel. We've got to give him Joel, at least for half the review.
This is not half.
This is like half. Like, this isn't even, this is only the first episode.
This is like a quarter. This is going to be like an hour, mate. Joel is being stalked. A guy enters down into the basement and he just grabs him and just knifes straight to the neck. They fall to the ground. Joel's like so fucked up he can barely stand.
Before we get to that though, just the tension of like him coming in and obviously fucking Joel's sitting there, he's looking around, he's listening.
Yeah.
You know? And then he's like, is he going to find the fucking cabinet? Which of course he fucking does.
Yeah. The whole thing is very tense and very well shot and edited and written.
And since his fever broke,
yeah,
he was able to act alertly, and he was such a smart fucking way to do it too, stealth, because obviously he's not gonna be like, whoosh, you know, he's gonna fucking and it was just watching him slowly die.
We hold on that guy's disgusting face for like 6 seconds as like he just gurgles and bleeds out.
Cut back to it too.
Violence in this show really isn't shown in like a glorified movie John Wick 4 pew, 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 pew manner. It's really like dark and negative, and like it means something and not something good. It like has impact and stuff. Yeah, it's not glorified or shown in a positive light. Even though this is like our antagonist, like being a badass, it's still like dark.
Yeah, fucking knows. I feel like it's very much the same in the game. Obviously, since it's a game, it's a little bit more glorified. But with the important deaths, well, not important, but even the people too. Like you, at least in number 2, when you shoot someone, like you blow their hand off, they don't just go like they do in most games. They're like. Like, or you shoot them neck and all you can hear is they're choking on their own blood, or like it's just most of the time, like you'll be sitting there and you're like, fuck me, you know, and that's great in a fucked up way.
Absolutely. Joel captures these two guys, and this is where we really see, was it Maria Baker Jackson with Tommy?
Yeah.
Tommy's wife? Yeah, she warned Ellie about Joel. In these 2 last episodes, we really get to see why. Like, he stabs this guy in the fucking leg. The sound that knife goes in, that was so good. There was so many, like, layers and levels of depth to that sound. It was, like, deep, it was high, it had, like, crunches, it had squelches, it had a thud, like, impact and power. It was, very well made sound.
Oh! Fuck! Oh!
That scene. Do you remember, probably like way early on in our series of reviews of Last of Us, how I was talking about there's a scene coming up which I don't know if they'll capture the darkness that is needed for that scene, because they seem to be making Joel a nicer guy. They fucking smashed it. They nailed it. The knife going into the like leg, everything.
Holding back on the violence and then now just showing it here actually makes it have more impact.
Exactly.
So we haven't been desensitized.
We haven't needed to see Joel in that level, because
but now Ellie's in trouble and he's like fucking can't.
He's like, I'm not fucking around here.
He's like, I'll rip your fucking kneecap off. Guy points on the map to where they are. He fucking stabs him in the guts.
In the game, he chokes him to death till he snaps his neck.
It's
brutal. While the guy's just like, what are you doing?
Yeah, the guy's like, it says something, and Joel's like, I won't give you the information.
He says, why would you do that? He told you everything you wanted.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's okay. I believe him. Because he's like, I'm not going to tell you shit. It's like, I believe him. That was... perfect.
I enjoyed it a lot.
I wouldn't even say it's better or worse than the game. They fucking captured it perfectly. That slight change was still just as good as him choking that cunt to death.
After seeing it, Joel just swung around, old blind deaf man with his walking cane and his fucking seeing dog. It's to see him snap into like crazy murderer Joel here, it was very satisfying.
And now I feel like you finally see what I'm talking about when I say what Joel's like, Joel and what he's capable of, what he's fucking he's a monster.
He's got a bit of Joel about him.
Yeah. And when you hear, there wasn't so much in the show, but in the game, the way Tommy talks about their past and what Joel did, what he had to do to survive. It's like, you're alive because of me, but it's like, you know, he says exactly like when those guys are tricking them and they're driving, and he's like, I've been on both sides.
Yeah.
You know?
He's killed innocent people.
A lot, most likely.
Yeah. We got back to Ellie and David. Not David or James?
Hold on, where
the preacher. David. Ellie and
James
David.
is Joel 2.0.
Can we just call him Joel
2.0? I feel like we can, but I feel like we will for the sake of this review. But I honestly feel like he should be Joel, and like I get.
That's fair. I didn't play the game.
No, but that's
Joel 1.0.
But he's not playing Joel, so he can get Joel 2.0.
I'll just call him James. I think I can remember that.
Video game Joel is Joel 1.
I'm just
Joel
having
1.
trouble with James and David.
No, it's fine. By no means, Joel 2.0. I'm just saying that...
He's 1.0. I get what you're saying.
But for the purpose of this, 100% because he's not playing Joel. But Troy Baker, mate.
Troy Baker. Let's just call him Troy.
Respect. No, call him Joel 2.0. I fucking love that.
David and Ellie are having a conversation. David is, trying to ask her name here. He's like, what's your name? She's like, fuck off. What's your name? She's like, eat shit.
Yeah.
So fucking brilliant. He's telling her about how he respects her and how she's violent and he's violent. And the cordyceps, it just does what it needs to do to flourish.
You're missing a very key part here. The fucking ear and shit on the bench that she notices.
Yeah, they reveal the cannibal thing, and I did not see it coming.
In the game.
It was shocking, and it adds so much, and at that moment you're like, holy fuck.
In the game, she wakes up, and James is there, cutting up a human body. Like, Cleaver cutting off the arm and shit, and then he sees she's awake. And then he goes and gets David.
Yeah.
And that's how that scene starts.
Yeah. This one was more subtle. It's like an ear on the floor.
I'm sorry, but you did such a good job cleaning the bench. How did you miss a fucking ear? Honestly. I mean, I'm fine with it. But, like, what? How? At least with him in the middle of doing it.
Yeah.
But anyway, go on.
He's like, the cordyceps, I respect it. It does what it needs to survive for its family. You have murder in you. I have murder in me.
I'm a very violent person.
Yeah, and then I guess 30 seconds after the cannibal reveal, we get the pedophile reveal.
Which I feel they played that up a lot more in the show than in the game. It's there in the game, and I feel in that scene, while he made the first move, sort of thing, in the game, it comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
He goes to her, she's holding the bars or whatever, and he comes up and goes, "You're a very special person," and tries to grab her hand, and she's like, "Oh."
Yeah.
But they build to it.
Yeah.
In the
also,
show.
he's a priest,
and the whole fucking him being a violent person, I can see that in you as well, is completely new. I was just like, holy shit, and I feel like I can't talk about anything, but in The Last of Us 2, you definitely start to see that, and they're laying points towards who the characters are going to be in that game, because when they worked the first game, they didn't have that planned out yet, but now they can go back and add more sort of seeds.
So they did that with The Expanse, because as the authors wrote the books, they just, had a basic plan, but wrote the books as they come. But then when they made the show and they had all the books already written, they started to set up stuff from book 5 in season 3 and stuff. They can knowing the path that it takes, take more time and effort to set it up.
Exactly, and that's so amazing.
It is. It's, it adds on to the game in a way. And so David, just you can be my wife, we can do our thing.
And he's being genuine here though, he sees potential in her, he's not just trying to get her to...
He generally wants to it's dark because he wants to control and manipulate her, and she's 14 and stuff, but he wants her.
He wants her to have power.
He's not just going to chop her up. He wants to marry her.
Exactly. Make
and have fucking kids.
A second leader essentially, eventually down the track. And I'm just you can see that in the acting, in the eyes.
This guy was great. I don't know what his name is. I'll ding his name up here. He did a fucking brilliant job.
Redhead McGee.
Yeah, he nailed creepy, pedophilic, priest, cannibal,
and the inner darkness.
Messiah, ego, arrogance, blind faith. He nailed it all. Brilliant performance.
Like I said, and I felt he is David in every sense of the word. He's fucking nailed that well. And to do that in one episode, just one episode.
Yeah, because the Henry and Sam stuff was 2 episodes, right? And I heard
and not to mention Joel and Ellie. That's the whole season.
He
gets one episode and from the get-go.
Yeah.
And it's building naturally and it doesn't feel forced.
Yeah. Yeah, so Ellie, she plays into it. She's like, oh, could this be a thing? Blah, 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 blah. And then, she snaps his finger. She goes for his keys. He grabs her head and smashes it into the bars. And even though she's cunning and smart and resourceful, she still can't match his strength as an adult male.
Bars.
Yeah.
How are you supposed to stop that even if you're an adult? He's just grabbed you and pulled
into the bars twice.
Well, after the first hit, you're not paying attention. He's got a good few hits before you realise what the fuck is happening.
Yeah. And then as he walks out, he's like, I'm gonna cut you into little pieces, and she's like,
what was it she said? cut you into little pieces.
Yeah.
Same line from the game.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then Ellie says as he's leaving, Ellie, you can tell everyone that Ellie broke your fucking
Ellie,
finger.
Little girl who broke your fucking finger.
Yeah, I think he calls her a cunt. It was amazing.
Yeah, he didn't call her a cunt in the game. After that part is when he said the little.
It's not a HBO show if you don't say cunt.
I definitely am not arguing with that. But it is just that was once again. She breaks his fingers. Like it's all the same. They just did it so well, but expanded on it.
Yeah, we keep on cutting back to Jolie. He's discovering the bodies in the barn, and he's like marching through the snow. They're setting up like the atypical like Deus Ex Machina, hero saves little girl trope, and then they completely subvert it later on, which is brilliant. But throughout this entire Ellie's journey, we keep on cutting back to Joel. Like, he's gonna come in and do the Joel thing, but he just wanders through the snow, basically.
He's still a weak older man who's recovering from a fucking wound.
Yeah.
His fever's broke and it's not fucked. But
Yeah.
he's still obviously gonna be like fucking in agony.
Yeah.
You know?
David and James burst back in and like, alright, we're gonna cut you up now. They could just shoot her, but they want her to like suffer and go through the thing. They get into a little scuffle, and then this reveal, I had no idea what was coming either, and it's fucking brilliant. She's like...
Can we just mention Joel 2.0's fucking...
No, not there yet.
No, I'm
Not
so
there
sorry,
yet.
I thought you were cutting ahead.
No, not there yet.
Go on.
Yeah, she's like, I'm infected, and I'm like, ah!
What a fucking good fucking idea,
That's
though.
like, yeah, they're struggling for dominance, and she just like gets the fucking trump card here. She's like, I'm infected. She's fucking got him. And yeah, I completely like didn't think about that as an option A. And when it came out, I'm like, oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah,
That's brilliant,
right?
Ellie. You're killing it. And he's like, nah. They pull up her sleeve. He's like,
Well, James is just like, that looks pretty fucking real to me.
Yeah.
You know?
Ellie's like, Kudoosh. Joel 2.0. It's funny. It's like Ellie killing a version of Joel.
Yeah, right? That whole scene was done with a magnet, eh?
Yeah, I watched, did you watch that little behind the scenes
I
thing?
watched a review with Joy Baker.
Yeah. So they had like a prosthetic on his neck, obviously, with like cut and then like a bladder of blood, which did the real blood thing. But yeah, the knife had a chunk out of it, and there was a magnet in the chest thing. So when Bella Ramsey did that thing, the knife just like stuck into his neck.
Yeah.
And that shot of him like slumped down with the blood, and like it looks different than CGI, that tells you.
It had way more emphasis in this too than in the game too, because like I said, in the game he's just another guy.
This guy was Troy Baker.
This guy was Troy Baker, plus it was James. You knew James. Like he was a guy who had
more of a character.
Yeah, he was
He's like questioning David and
exactly. There was shit going on there that we never got a chance to see.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with that. I don't need to fucking see it. It just shows that they're real people.
Yeah.
That have shit going on.
Yeah, they've gone to the effort of making everyone seem like they are act in a realistic manner. So fucking David runs out. Ellie has like a fucking flaming stick thing. She throws it. This hotel or whatever they're in.
Yeah, that was a weird scene.
Yeah?
Yeah, in the game it's a lantern that gets knocked off a shelf, I think.
Yeah. It's like a smouldering, that's what I was looking for, like a smouldering like piece of wood from a fire, I would presume. She throws it, this place catches on fire. Once again, kudos to them for like using live action flames for like part of this. Some of it is like a digital extension.
But when you extend it on, it looks way more convincing.
Just having that live action moment. And even with the deer, like even though some shots were CGI, just having that one shot where it cuts to a live action deer's face, if that was CGI, it would seem all CGI, but it reinforces the realism. That little bit of fire reinforces the realism, and then it's extended.
Yeah, for sure.
Shit gets real. David's trying to call her out.
There's like a whole boss battle there in the game.
Yeah, true.
Like,
Who's the boss?
David.
Makes sense.
But you're like trying to sneak around this thing and jump up behind him and stab him with a little pocket knife. But you walk over broken plates or broken glass, and he sees where you are and he comes for you and shit. And it gets very tedious because he's very clued on. And there's like at first he's just talking and yelling at her and shit like you would, but she gets a stab and he pisses her off or whatever, and of course that's not enough. Yeah. And then at that point he's crouching. You put listen mode on to try and find out where he is, and you can't see him anymore because he's trying to, all you listen to of him like trying to move around to flank you, because I guess he's views you more as a threat now. Before eventually you get him, and then that's when all this shit goes down.
That's cool. So yeah, she comes out, she stabs him. They get into a little scuffle. He has a line here where he's like, "Don't you know that I'm into biting?" or something.
No,
like,
what was it? Don't you know I like it when they resist?
Yeah. You're like, oh my god.
Yeah, dude, that will go, like, admittedly, like I said, it's there in the game, but fuck me, he's like...
Yeah. It adds... it adds a lot to the moment, I think, and the character in general. Yeah, there's a lot of, stuff going on with him. Yeah. He's fleshed out, he's a fleshed out character with a lot of complex, levels to him.
The fear in Ellie that Ellie would have been feeling in that fucking moment too, because he would be so much heavier than her, so much stronger, and he's holding her fucking down. Can you imagine the fear? And then it's just there, but you can't get to it.
Yeah. She manages to get the cleaver and we get that brilliant shot of her just hacking and hacking and hacking, and then she like slows down the hacking and then like continues to hack and like speeds up. It just keeps on going and going and going. She just like hacks into pieces. I did want like a Tarantino-esque gore shot there, like even for just like a second of...
They don't show you in the game.
Yeah,
I imagine his head would be just fucking
it'd be like not a head. It'd be like a...
That's pretty brutal, man. I don't know.
I wanted it.
Yeah, in the
I'm fine that it wasn't there because it was brutal. The whole thing, it was very dark and brutal, but I wanted that shot.
I get it.
Just
I would have been okay with it being there. I can understand why they didn't. They didn't in the game.
I think it would reinforce how messed up she is in the next episode as well too. If we just see like a split second of.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, in the game, I know obviously this is nothing. It's just me being so focused on how much I fucking love those games. But when
she based on the game.
She hits him or whatever, just like in the game. He's like, whatever. And it makes so much more sense why in the show he's so much more focused on what the fuck just happened. Yeah. Before he gets hit again. Yeah. But in the game, there's like this moment where you can't see his face, but he realizes what's happened. Like, he's like, like this high-pitched, like, oh fuck, before that fucking blade hits. To me, that really hit home because I feel like everyone would have that moment, like, oh fuck, like, and you wouldn't care about if it was a manly scream or whatever. It would be a scream of absolute terror the second before that blade connects with your skull.
I mean, I can see how it'd be awesome, but it might also be silly in live action if he.
Exactly, I understand why they didn't do it. Yeah, but
you missed it.
I missed it, but it's okay because I already have it in the game.
Yeah, it still exists. This doesn't delete the game. Game of Thrones didn't delete it.
And they've done it all so well that it doesn't fucking matter. It's just I know that's just me overthinking it.
Ellie runs out. She's in a panic.
Yeah, I thought that was strange.
Why?
In the game, she's bang, 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 and Joel's like, Ellie, inside the flaming wreckage. Like, he stops her from fucking... Yeah. And that's when she's like, sort of thing. But in this, she runs out, which...
Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann said they wanted her to like actually entirely escape the situation because she's still in danger with the fire and everything. Yeah. And also they talked about the dynamics of how did Joel get into this burning building and how did he know that she was there.
I mean, you'd see a burning building and I'd go straight there too.
Yeah, I guess.
Why would there be a random burning building?
I guess, that makes sense. But yeah, how did he get into the burning building? And that, it was just like that, she completely left the dangerous situation on her own, 100%.
I was okay with it, but I was just like, no.
Yeah, and then Joel grabs her, she's like, ah! And he's like, it's me. And he calls her baby girl.
Oh, yeah, which is what he used to call Sarah.
Yes. He now thinks of her as
it's just like a fucking arrow that goes...
A daughter, Ma!
When you watch
it's
that,
his little daughter. See how far we've come?
He came to that realization and he's like, okay, yes. I feel like there would have been a big part of him who didn't want to accept that realization for a long time because he felt like he'd be replacing Sarah instead of her having a sister.
Yeah, absolutely. He'd feel like he was betraying Sarah to a degree.
There's no better way to make someone realize how important someone is when their life is in danger.
Yeah, absolutely. And now he's come full circle and he loves her and he considers her to be a daughter.
And Bella Ramsey in that scene, like, you saw the absolute terror and fear and like
this episode was her episode and she did amazing.
Oh my god, this was for me the encapsulation of Ellie. Yeah. Like, this was the episode I truly accepted. I thought she was doing a good job before. I kept saying, nah, she's doing a good job, man. But now I'm like, she's fucking Ellie.
Well, I didn't know who Ellie was and I didn't know if she was becoming Ellie, but I knew how I felt about her. And I guess fucking episode 4 I was sold, but at this point I'm like, fuck yeah, this is awesome, I'm loving her. She has character moments in which I celebrate with joy because I'm emotionally attached to the character. Exactly. Whereas before it was like, I accept her. Now it's like, this is
fucking
awesome.
go Ellie.
Yeah.
Ellie's got to get out of this, you know?
And Joel doesn't fucking save her. That would have been so, like, fucking...
He didn't save her in the game either, but, like, I do agree, like, yeah, I didn't know that about the escaping the situation, but it makes sense. But
yeah,
in the game, it's like, oh, fuck, what is she doing, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, it's sad because he hasn't seen what she's done.
Yeah.
You know?
That's fair.
Look, it's me. It's me. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay, baby girl. I got you.
So, episode 9 opens with Ellie's mom. I don't know what her name was. I didn't write it down.
Ashley Johnson.
Ashley Johnson.
Ashley Johnson in the house.
It's so, yeah, like, nice and beautiful the way that, she encompassed that character and she made that character. And listening to Neil Druckmann on that podcast, she did a lot of improv for the character and she molded and created the character in a lot of ways with the motion capture, which I didn't realize they, like, had that as improv, but yeah.
No, dude, yeah, they did the entire thing.
She really gives, Neil Druckmann really gives Ashley Johnson a lot of credit for creating a lot of the core elements of Ellie's personality.
She just knows that character in and out. She is that character.
Yeah. She created the character, and now here she is the creator of the character. It's a nice little fucking thing. She's the mother of Ellie.
Even though it was so subtle when she was running, like at the start, just hearing I'm like, that's fucking Ellie. Oh, I'm hearing Ellie. Yes, Ellie. Like she was trying so hard to, in certain scenes, be quiet and not complete Ellie voice. But I'm like,
yeah, because her voice is just Ellie's voice.
You're there, Ellie.
Fucking infected comes in. It's a lot of like interesting layers to have someone that's pregnant and giving birth.
Yeah, because we didn't know what she was running from.
Yeah, and then have an infected attacking somebody. Like I've been in the birthing room a couple of times, and it's full on, and there's a lot of crazy shit going on. And to have on top of that someone try to murder you, that's a situation, man.
Yeah, that's fucked.
She stabs him in the brain with Ellie's pocket knife.
I was like, okay, at first when I was watching this scene, I'm like, obviously I'm like, oh, Ashley Johnson. But I was also thinking, why the fuck is an infected following her to this degree? And then I noticed that it was a stalker.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, it was stalking her. That makes sense that it would chase her.
Yeah, right.
Because clickers would have stopped listening because it was making clicking noises. I was like, there's no way a clicker would, because it would have lost her fucking hearing her.
Yeah.
It wasn't, it was a stalker.
Fair enough.
So just a little thing.
Yeah. And the baby is born there. She cradles it. She says a couple of really cute lines. It's like,
no, she cuts the umbilical cord as fast as she possibly can.
Yeah, we see the thing on her leg.
Which is Ellie's knife, which I was like, oh.
Yeah, she hands it down to Ellie, and she's been cut on the leg. She sees the baby that's still attached. She sees a cut on the leg. It's straight up Blade's origin story.
That's got to be, though, when do you think that infected bit? That was no way that infected bit her just then. That was before she was...
I think it was just then. I think it's just like this tiny...
It went straight for her face, though.
Millisecond.
But did you see how far it had spread on her leg, though?
I think that was later, wasn't it? The immediate shot was just like...
That was like 30 seconds later. I feel like...
When Marlene comes in later, it was like bigger.
For me, I feel like I think that she got bitten beforehand, and then she was running, and then she sat there, and then it came and got her, and she gave the infection a little bit of chance to get into the bloodstream, which would have gone into the fucking thing. I don't feel like from that point it takes hours. Like in the first episode, they have how many hours it takes for each segment of the body. Yeah. It takes hours to do that part. Yeah. From this part, so I feel like it would take longer to reach the baby.
It did seem very quick for her to be just cut in that scuffle there, and then for it immediately to go through the umbilical cord.
I'd have to watch it again, but I feel like it went straight for her face, which means she would have had it, because she'd been on the leg, would have had to be earlier.
Yeah, but is it just bites, or is it? It's not fingers as well, is it?
Scratches can too, but that was a bite wound.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think maybe it was in that scuffle, but who knows?
Nah, it doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah, she sees the thing on her leg. We know the implications. It's Blade's backstory. What do you think about this? This wasn't in the video game?
None of this was. You didn't hear anything about Ellie's mother except that Marlene knew.
No likey? Bad?
I fucking loved it. It's hard not to be biased when it's Ashley Johnson. Yeah. I love Ashley Johnson. I love Ellie. She created Ellie. She didn't create Ellie.
You're not attached to these characters, are you, Mark?
It was just amazing, and I feel like listening to her fucking talk to Ellie.
Yeah, she says, you tell them, girl, and a couple things about her being Ellie, and they're like, aww.
To me, it felt like the game Ellie saying to Bella Ramsey, you're fucking nailing this.
Yeah.
You go, girl, sort of thing. And it just, and being her mother and everything, I was getting like weepy. It was an amazingly beautiful moment. I'm a fucking sucker when it comes to movies and shit. But
I cried at the Red Hot Chili Peppers the other month.
It was beautiful because she's saying it and it's literally Ellie's voice.
Yeah, you tell her. You fucking tell Ellie.
We cut back to Marlene. I was going to ask at a certain point, is Marlene ever going to come back in this fucking story? I never asked you, and here she is again. This gives a lot more context and understanding for episode 1, because episode 1 I was like, who is Marlene? Who is Ellie? Who is Ellie's mum? How do they know each other? What's going on?
Phaedra, I told you.
Orphan. I'm like, eh?
I told you, in the game, Ellie knew that Marlene knew her mum. I mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
But they didn't do that in the show. So I was surprised. I was happy when I saw Marlene in this episode with her because, for one, who the fuck's gonna find a baby if she's infected, and two, they don't have any connection between the two, and now it makes so much more sense.
It adds to the.
I do have to say, I don't know why the fuck Marlene. Obviously to keep her safe, but put her in an orphanage, which you know she's gonna be trained to be Phaedra, who you're fucking murdering in terrorist attack. She could be fucking stationed anywhere. You send your fireflies off, they blow up the area. Your fucking best friend's fucking daughter's dead.
I guess maybe she thought she'd be safer in a Phaedra institution than
maybe
with
she was
renegade
gonna
terrorists.
free her when she got older.
Well, yeah, they do interact later, and she has Ellie in her custody, so I don't know how that came about and what the origins of that interaction are, but it does seem a little bit odd for her to be a Firefly and for her to take her, like, beloved childhood friend's daughter and give them to Phaedra.
Well, it makes you wonder, was Ellie's mum a fucking Firefly? I imagine she would be.
They're like childhood friends.
The head of the Fireflies.
Yeah.
They didn't, I mean, even though childhood friends, they clearly went for, there was some shit going on there. Like, you could feel it.
She was very non-trusting of Ashley Johnson when she's like, it happened after
I mean, to be
the
fair,
baby was born.
I'm infected, and I gave birth to this baby, which is probably infected too.
Yeah.
Which, really, she is.
She is. She's like, take the baby, you're my best friend. She doesn't say raise her, but yeah, she says like, make sure she's safe. And she's like, murder me. And Marlene is like, no.
After all that, you wouldn't want to turn into one of those things. Like, especially now that they've fucking put very plain and clear that they take control of the host, which means you're probably still alive for years or months or whatever, just watching you do these horrible things.
Even if you're not conscious, like, you are an entity that exists that will do damage to other people.
It's much more humane to put them out, to kill them before that.
Marlene's like, no, and then she walks out.
Which is understandable as well.
It'd be hard for me to brutally shoot you in the head. I'd do
Thank
it
you.
if you're going to turn
Well,
into
dude,
a
if I was
zombie
begging
mushroom.
you because I was going to turn into a monster.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, I don't know if I could, who knows.
Well, I mean, we've never been in that situation.
We're not in a zombie apocalypse, thank God. We're filming reviews in the garage about a zombie
But it's
apocalypse.
kind of mean to put. I know she obviously had decided she wasn't going to do it, then thought about it, and then went back and did it. But like those moments of no, please, fucking do it. You know that terror of no, don't let me turn into one of those fucking things which I hate beyond belief for taking so many people from me.
She gives the baby to a guy. She's like, block its ears, and then she just walks in, doesn't say a thing. It's like, bam.
Which is probably smart. It's like I've always thought if you're ever going to do something like that takes that much effort with a gun, do it in one swift motion so you don't have a second to fucking rethink it. If you sit there and be like, I'm really going to miss you, bye, you may not pull the trigger anymore.
It's like ripping the band-aid off.
Like,
don't do it slowly. Just...
You know, when you shoot yourself,
you're not there yet, Mark.
Bang.
Joel
doesn't shoot himself.
He reveals that he shot himself.
Oh, right. Oh, I forgot about that.
Did you watch this episode? Anyway, we cut to Ellie. It's several months later. It's no longer winter. Joel's healed up. And it was really interesting here how the roles seemed completely reversed. Ellie is now, like, traumatized with PTSD and closed off and quiet. And Joel's trying to, like, connect with her and be jovial and, like, I'll teach you guitar. I have Boggle. We should be friends. And she's like, yeah. I hacked up a guy's face with a fucking cleaver. It's also nice that those elements from the previous episode still have impact and meaning here.
So, that's a very interesting take on it. That is not how I viewed it at all.
Go on, sir. How did you view it?
I viewed Ellie knowing that she's getting close to the Firefly's hospital, that she's starting to face her mortality, just because she's not sure if she's going to survive, if they're going to be able to do anything, if they're going to kill her, and that she's quiet because she's scared.
Yeah.
Not because she's traumatized.
Yeah.
But that makes total sense.
I feel just like...
Think about it like this. Was it snowing or any snow at all in this episode? No, so it's been a couple of months probably.
Yeah, time has passed.
Time has passed. Not saying she wouldn't be traumatized, but I don't think that would be the only thing on her mind at this point.
Yeah, I think it's like a turning point for her, and she's done this thing, and she's changed, and she's no longer like a kid. She's all grown up and murdery.
Well, it certainly makes sense, and it's definitely, I never thought about
and
it
PTSD
like
and murder is a big theme within this show. You don't really just, especially not a little girl, doesn't murder people and move on.
Yeah.
It has a lingering impact.
Yeah, see, this is the part of the game that in episode 2, where they're walking through the flooded coffee shop, this is where it happens. And that's where Ellie's having all these quiet moments when they're walking through the coffee shop.
Interesting.
I'm 90% sure. It's been a while since I played the game. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure.
They go through some shenanigans. Joel's trying to reach out to Ellie. Ellie's like,
I should teach you how to play the guitar.
Yeah, that'll be a thing.
He was so much
game.
This was the first time. I mean, obviously in the show as well, but in the game, this is the first time you really see Joel starting to make an effort and laughing with her and shit. Like in the show, you've seen a few moments with that already.
Yeah.
This is the first time where he talks about playing the guitar and so on and so forth. And that her learning to play the guitar is like, just remember that, guys. It's a big part coming in 2 years when season 2 comes out.
And Doodsley D.
Yeah, that's important.
They see giraffes. Once again, they use live action giraffes here. It was fucking...
I swear that was a CGI giraffe. Was it actually live action?
It is a real giraffe.
Holy shit, I was convinced that was CGI. It looked so fake. Not fake, but...
They've changed like the background and the scenery and stuff. They went to a zoo. And they, instead of the giraffe being CGI and everything being real, it's like everything is CG and the giraffe is real.
That's what the...
Yeah, so it does look... I did think it was CGI the first time I watched it too, and then I watched like a making of in the podcast thing, and yeah, they went to an actual zoo and filmed an actual giraffe.
I think, I obviously could be wrong, but I was pretty sure when I looked at that backdrop that was the exact actual shot from the game.
Yeah, I've seen the shot from the game, and it's it looks...
So that makes total sense. So that was CGI, so the fucking, I'm about to say camel. The fucking giraffe.
I want to see that scene with a camel. Oh my god!
They had very similar heads though. What was it doing? That was exactly what it was doing. And they got the fucking big... Anyway.
A giraffe and a camel.
The camel, right?
It's exactly the same.
But yeah, it was the exact shot from the game that they
I thought it was CG the first time I watched it as well, but it is live action. It's a real giraffe, which is awesome, and then the background is CG. So that's why your eye is a bit like... fakey.
How did that scene hit you when you watched it?
It seemed like it was pulling Ellie out of her like depression and her slumber, and Joel seeing her be happy and have this like innocent moment of childhood that like brightened him.
Did it move you? Did you say you were moved?
I don't know if I was moved.
I was fucking moved in both instances, in the game and in the show.
Yeah.
It was just
this is an iconic moment from the game. I know that much.
In this dark, twisted and sad world.
I was kind of waiting for it to like pull on the twig too hard or something, and Joel just to stab it up in the head.
Slit its massive throat.
He's like, "Whoa, I'm sorry.
Can't trust anything in this world."
It was coming at you. We all seen it. Fucking Joel.
Yeah, no.
We'll get there.
In the game, that part's there too. And originally, I was like, "Why the fuck is there a giraffe there?" I'm like, "Oh, the zoo."
Yeah.
The zoo, they would have, I guess, someone... It would have made sense.
It's like nature reclaiming cityscapes.
Well, they never would have escaped the enclosures. They would have died in there. I imagine there would have been, like, you know, people who loved animals, whatever.
Release the giraffes!
Well, would they not? In that situation?
Yeah.
Like Peter and shit like that? They would go and they would free every
There's a process of everything, like, shutting down and closing down. So there would have been
people who worked there, too.
Yeah, they would have been like,
but yeah, there was actually zebras and shit there as well.
That's cool. Yeah.
But it was a beautiful scene, and they captured it very well.
We get more, revelations between them. Joel he's talking about Sarah with her and stuff, and he says there's a episode 3, I think it is. he talks about someone that shot him and missed, and he reveals here that, he tried to commit suicide. He's trying to, this is why I think it's the David thing too, he's trying to pull her out of it and being like, time heals
if I
all
open up
wounds.
to you and...
Sarah died and I tried to murder myself and you've done some dark shit, but it's all gonna be okay, kiddo.
Something to keep fighting for.
Yeah.
Find something more to do. And I loved it. This was new shit. Like, this was new. It was all new, and it was... I feel like a lot of people on the internet will probably be pissed off that Joel's opening up this much.
Yeah.
But...
he says we should just go back to Tommy's.
It makes sense. Or he mentions that in the game too. He's not as open as this whole story he tells.
Yeah.
But he says that we don't have to do this, That was like that happens in the game.
Yeah, that was a nice
extension. This was an extension of like he watches her with the giraffe or whatever. He's happy to watch her or whatever, and then he's kind of sits there and he's like, we don't have to do this, Like obviously he's happy, she's happy, and blah blah blah, and they both don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But in this, they really extended it.
Yeah.
And I thought that was fucking crazy. And like Joel opening up with much, he didn't do that in the game. But if people played the second fucking game, you get flashbacks, and he's very much.
Yeah.
He still opens up to her. He shows her that he cares.
I just think it's a different medium, and we don't have like extended zombie
I'm not talking
sequences.
about the fact that it's different mediums. I'm talking about his character overall.
Yeah, I just think like in like a HBO dialogue-based character drama, like you need to add more emotional levels to him.
I couldn't agree more. But if people
it's a different format.
I get that, but I'm just trying to say a way that it could still be something he did just because they didn't fucking show it.
Yeah, even if he is more emotional than he was in the game. I mean, it's
it
the
doesn't
show.
fucking matter. It's amazingly done. That's what I'm saying. I thought they fleshed it out and it was because that it's better.
Yeah.
That was exactly what I was getting at. And I was trying to, I guess, in a way, show that it's just a different variant of Joel instead of being the video game Joel and the fucking show Joel. It's just Joel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. There was an interesting part in one of those podcasts I listened to where Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann said they purposely cast people that were different to Joel and Ellie in the video game because they wanted them to be different physically.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. They purposely went out of the way to make them different. There's an element where they need to be the same, and then there's an element where they need to be different. It's a balance.
Yeah, and
they need to feel the same, but they need to be different. It's both at once.
You don't just want to fucking watch a new TV series and be like, oh, look at this is exactly the fucking same as what I've already seen, cunt.
Yeah.
You want to be surprised. You want to have things be different, just not wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well put, sir. Well put.
You go.
And Ellie basically says, like, I don't want to go back to Tommy's. We're on this mission. We need to fulfill this mission. She has an emotional investment in the fact that she could save humanity, which she would, and that'll play into it later.
Yeah, see, in the game, you never truly see what Ellie's intentions are here.
Yeah.
She doesn't open up that much about what her feelings towards it is. Like, you do get the line, he's like, we don't have to do this, and she's like, what other option is there?
Yeah.
After everything I've done. Like, that's all part of it. But the way she talks about it in this is very much like, we need to see this through. I don't care what the consequences are. This is what has to happen.
Yeah.
It's very kind of to the point. While in the game, I feel like Joel's somewhat ignorant to her feelings about the whole thing. But I feel like she very much put forward exactly what she was.
We've come this far. We've sacrificed this much. Sam's died, Henry's died, Tessa's died, David's died, a lot of people have died. We need to do this for my sake.
Yeah.
The Fireflies attack, we get great flashbang.
That was interesting too.
And Joel wakes up and it's just rifle butt to the head. That doesn't happen in the game?
No. In the game, you have to traverse into this underground subway sort of area to get to the hospital. Because there's an entrance to the hospital through the subway.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. But you go down, there's all sorts of train crashes and shit that clearly happened on day one. You got to subvert through whatever, and then you find a bunch of infected. There's 2 bloaters.
Yeah.
Which are just silent. They're not attacking. So I always sneak through because I'm like, fuck 2 bloaters. I'm not dealing with that.
Yeah.
Shit. So I sneak past them all.
Yeah.
And then eventually you get to this point, and all of a sudden there's fucking crazy rushing water. and the water fills the bus that Joel's gotten Ellie out of. So he's getting all kinds of fucked, and then Ellie's like, I'm not leaving you, and starts opening up. It's like, you can't swim.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. And then they end up in this fucking crazy, like, rush of the water just flushing through, and then Joel kind of comes through to see Ellie just kind of floating there in the water.
Holy fuck.
And then you have to, like, rush up there to try and save her. You get her out of the water, and he's, like, trying to do CPR and shit, and then all of a sudden the Firefly's like, hey, put your hands up. He's like, she's not getting any air. And he goes up, goes, bang.
Yeah.
You know,
that
it's
actually
like,
sounds like a really like interesting action set piece.
Oh, it was beautiful. Like he doesn't give a fuck that there's guys with guns on him.
Yeah.
He's just trying to make sure that she's breathing.
Yeah. So I don't know whether that's not here for a story reason, if they wanted a more streamlined, or maybe that's a budgetary reason, because that's like an entire other level fucking action set piece. That's like a fucking 20-minute sequence unto itself.
Which I was surprised, instead of a little flash grenade, like smoke grenade or whatever, you know.
We did talk about the massive, crazy, insane, amazing, beautiful budget of this television show, where every episode looks like a fucking movie. But yeah, it's not limitless. Right? Yeah, they didn't have like a limitless. I think it was like 10 million per episode.
Yeah.
Or maybe more, maybe 12 million per episode.
Plus, well, I mean, what was the need? Oh, no, actually, I'm not gonna lie. It was beautiful, and it would have been very nice to see. But it
sounded fascinating. It sounded like an interesting action set piece.
I was just like, okay, cool, because it really played into Ellie not knowing how to swim, because that's a much bigger part of the game.
Yeah.
Because you got to get through areas like that. You got to find a thing for her to jump onto and shit, because she can't swim.
Yeah.
And then, which is a huge part of the second game. But I guess they can still. She did mention it, so it doesn't matter.
Fair enough. Joel wakes up. Marlene's there. He's like, where is Ellie? Marlene was not at all expecting him to be emotionally invested in Ellie.
Well, she knows him.
Yeah, and he, at the beginning, he's like, oh, fuck, I'll take this cargo for the car.
It's been like a year, though.
It's been a year. It's been a long time. But even Marlene, like, isn't emotionally attached to Ellie on that level.
Well, of course not. Oh, there you go. What's she from fuck?
Yeah, she's a
like,
deadbeat dad.
She's like Piccolo without the raising it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, Piccolo was
hands on.
Yeah,
but I'm just
Goku was the deadbeat dad.
Yeah,
no, Goku was there. On and off. He was dead for a while.
He was dead. You can't blame him for being dead, though.
No. Well, Marlene, yeah, she hasn't raised Ellie. She gave her off.
No,
Joel has been with her for a year.
Like I said, watch the fight. Ellie didn't even know who the fuck she was.
They've saved each other's lives.
Yeah, they've been through some shit.
And this was another like brilliant little moment, which I didn't see at all coming, that Ellie was going to die during the process.
Oh, you didn't see that coming? I assumed I would have told you this at some point.
No, I
am so glad that my not wanting to spoil shit, it managed to...
Yeah, I mean, you probably have told me like 7 years ago.
Let's say I didn't.
I'm like, this cunt's talking about a video game. This will never be important to me at all. Why does he keep on talking about video games?
Do you see why I kept on talking about it though? Surely by now you see why I kept on talking about it.
Some people have said it's a good video game.
It's just the good story. Not the video game. It's a good good video game. No, I'm not. Yeah, but it's a great story.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. It's fucked.
And he's
though,
like,
right?
we're gonna fucking. She's gone.
She's fucking dead, cunt.
We're gonna save humanity. And Joel's like, nah.
She's like, I'm the only person who understands. You don't fucking understand. You're not a mum, so you feel bad that you're killing her daughter. I mean, obviously she's right. That is definitely the right call. But you are not as emotionally attached to Joel. You don't fucking know how attached he is to her.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Why not be like, hey, alright then, let's wake her up and see what she says. I'm pretty sure she'll be like, Joel, I want to do this.
Yeah.
They don't let him do that.
No, she's like, get him, drop him off at the highway if he does anything. Kill him. And then, we get this, I'd say action sequence, but it's not even an action sequence. Can I just cut in before we get to the action? You may.
In the show, there's two people who escort him out. In the game, it's one. And they're kind of walking him down a hallway or whatever, right? And then he walks past, and then his backpack's sitting on a bench, which he happens to walk past. And then he stops for a second, guy's like, oh, just give me an excuse, whatever. Yeah. And that's when Joel turns around, like, fucking, whatever, and fucking shoots him in the dick.
No.
And then he's like, where is she, or whatever. He's like, I don't have time for this, and then just fucking bang again. And he's got his backpack, he goes, and the Fireflies come charging through the door and start fucking going at him or whatever.
Yeah.
But in this, I felt like it was a lot more. He's finding every fucking last one of them to fucking kill the lot. Like, he is... It wasn't as much... In the game, it feels very much self-defense.
Yeah, it was not.
It was not.
No.
And
it was the opposite of self-defense.
I thought that was so good. The slow-mo, even of him taking footsteps. And the
Craig Mazin talked about editing this sequence and going back at a certain point and having different versions of the music. And yeah, it got to a point where he went back through Gustavo, enter last name in his music, and he found the saddest piece of music that he'd written, and he interjected that into the sequence.
And it worked.
Yeah, it's not glorifying violence. Violence isn't exciting. It's not upbeat. It's not enjoyable. It's like sad and disgusting and brutal. We're showing close-ups of the faces of
There's
these
people he didn't need to kill.
Yeah, people
That
putting
he-
down guns and he's shooting them. He shoots the doctor, which is a brilliant moment. The doctor's like, you can't take it away. And just like, bang, instantly. He's just like, he's disassociated.
And what about the scene where he's walking to the room?
Yeah.
Like, there's this moment where it stops, whatever he's walking. You think you'd be running, but there's this perfect, like...
There's this thing with
This
fighters,
skill.
right? And you see it, like, skill is an element of fighting. But there's this different thing where people are able to push past any, like, fear or emotion. And it doesn't matter how good you are, but if you can get past the point where you're hurt and they're hurt, and you enter into this moment where, like, you're just emotionally void, and that's what Joel is here. It's like disassociated with any emotional intent. He's like blank. Like, murder doesn't mean anything to him. People are panicking
The
and they're
only
in
thing
fear.
that matters is Ellie.
Yeah, and like that's a symptom of PTSD here. He's just cold and calculated and calmly.
And he's killed enough that it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, murdering people, and it's fucking brilliant. It's an amazing sequence. I like, what is going on here tonally. It feels different from any other like action brutal murder sequences I've seen.
It was interesting that he left the nurses alive. In the game, I never did.
Yeah.
They didn't fight back or whatever, but I just find they don't do anything, and I find whatever weapon I want to kind of just fuck them up, like flamethrower or whatever, you know. Or that doctor too, he doesn't do anything, even though he holds the little fucking thing. So you're just like, oh fuck it, you know, I'm gonna use a shotgun and blow your fucking head off or whatever.
Yeah. One of the nurses was
Abby.
Yeah.
Yeah, fucking oath. I was like, fuck yeah, go Abby. She's a character from the second game.
Yeah, and she will be in the second game. I don't know if the actress
She's
will be.
a very big character in the second game.
She's the lesbian girlfriend? Don't tell me.
No. I mean, no, I'm not going to tell you.
Oh, okay.
You just... No, because I'm going to be spoiling it for them as well if they haven't played the games.
Alright, we'll get there in 2 years. I'm going to see spoilers in the next 2 years.
I did see a theory that someone sent me that Abby was in this shot and they showed her running off into the darkness and shit, but I watched that fucking scene. It's not fucking her. It's a guy that he goes up and fucking murders straight
There's an old man in a wheelchair.
I don't want to talk about it in detail. Anyway, so yeah, he kills
Joel.
Doesn't kill the nurses.
Doesn't kill the nurses. Joel gets Ellie, he puts her in the car, and this whole thing is being non-linear. It is like played with time in a really interesting way. It's showed stuff and it's cut back and it's had flashbacks and it's moments. And this whole moment with Joel murdering Marlene and Ellie waking up in the car and questioning Joel, it's all non-linear and it's all like cut into each other. It's not the
not
two
shot for
scenes
shot from the
back
game.
to back. They're like they intercut at several moments to make it the most level of impact. And like she asks Joel about it. We're already seeing Ellie ask Joel about it. Then we see the extent of his like murderous rampage.
Mm-hmm.
And Neil Druckmann talked about the first game and they polled people after they played it, just for like Sony doing their like research or whatever. And they asked people if Joel's actions were justified. And apparently people who weren't parents, 50-50 of them said it was and wasn't. But parents, 100% of them said, yeah, fuck humanity, it doesn't matter, saving the world. But yeah, Joel was justified.
I get it. As a parent, I get it.
I have a daughter. I would murder this hospital full of people to save
100%.
Ella. Fuck humanity. So that was interesting how people with children and people without children react.
I mean, it's very interesting, but at the same time, I felt that change in myself when I'm watching cinema.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
It's a massive shift in everything that you are.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But yeah, it's just so well, you don't even realise what the fuck's happened until it's happened, sort of thing.
You like played it out for the perfect amount of tension and suspense. And it's so dark. I mean, especially when he kills Marlene, like, yeah.
It was cold-blooded. Like,
Yeah, he didn't really need to murder her. Yeah, she
You don't need it. You would just come after her. Even if she
Yeah.
would say she wasn't, there was no way she would have left her alone.
Yeah, but yeah, it's justified, but it's still like sickening and cold and disassociated, and you feel like Joel's the piece of shit and also a hero.
Well, yeah, she completely wasn't even aiming at him anymore.
She was like on
She
the
was putting
ground
the
dying.
gun down. No, even before that, she was like putting.
Oh
the
yeah,
gun
she put her gun down, and he's like,
And he just knows full well he has the gun on her the whole time in the other hand. Because he would, because he just picked her up while holding it.
yeah, yeah. Ellie wakes up. She's like, "What happened?" He's like, Raiders.
Yeah, no, we had to get the fuck out of there.
There's several.
It's a logical question. Why am I still in my hospital?
Yeah, it's weird as fuck. The whole thing
That
is weird as
isn't
fuck.
that part in the game, isn't it?
Yeah.
She does wake up in the back in the hospital gown, and he just says about them not.
And
they
Ellie's
ran a bunch of
clever.
tests
She's
and
switched
shit.
on. And
Yeah, but she's very drugged up as well.
yeah, but like she's gonna wake up.
Yeah, no.
The whole situation is weird and shifty and odd. And he's like, yeah, Raiders came.
There's no way there's not telling me that you're telling me the truth. Like there's a lot of shit.
Yeah, and then he goes on to say like there are 12 people that have the
There's a
thing,
bunch of them, yeah.
and that fucking it doesn't matter. There's no cure anyway. Don't worry about the cure.
He said something really that it wasn't in the game that was really smart here, like a good cover story. The Raiders, that's it. He didn't mention them in the game,
yeah,
and this makes so much sense. Like it's actually a reasonably believable excuse.
the Raiders. Yeah, that makes the story be somewhat possible.
Somewhat
In the
possible.
moment.
Still, Ellie would never believe it.
No, she doesn't.
It's a
And we'll
totally
get to that.
logical lie for him to say. Like,
Yeah.
not logical to lie, but him to add that to his lie.
Yeah.
Where are my clothes?
Raiders attacked the hospital. I barely got you out of there. We'll find you some new ones on the way.
Are people hurt?
Yes.
They drive to the point where the car breaks down. They go on a hike, like old school days. Joel's like, "Hey, we're going on a hike, just like the old days, Ellie. You know,
Only a 5-hour hike.
nothing's changed. Nothing at all.
We no longer have a purpose.
And I murdered a whole heap of people for you."
Oh shit! No, I didn't.
Ah! They wander up the hill. Ellie reveals they're talking about Sarah too, which is nice. And it was a nice.
Yeah,
little
I
moment.
loved that. I'm sure there's people who didn't, but I fucking loved it. I was like,
I feel like we've earned it from a non-gamer perspective, and I feel like it makes sense at this point. And I feel like, yeah, it completes this crazy emotional arc that we've been on from episode 1. It's crazy how far they come. I knew what was going to happen. I knew to a degree where we'd end up, but there was just so much more depth to it, and like detail and complexity to the emotional dynamics at play. Even with like the morality and what Joel does and stuff, and Ellie's feelings and Joel's feelings, it's all very sophisticated on like a emotional level.
Yeah, and it's not unbelievable. I think that's the best part. There's so many things I watch in shows and movies. I'm like, oh, fuck off.
Yeah, it's tapping into a real universal emotion that we all go through. Ellie tells a story about Riley, which is a massive point for her. And then, basically, what do we get? She's like...
She blatantly asks you. At this point, it's like, if you tell me the truth of the thing, I'll probably be able to accept it.
He's like...
I love the
do
little
you...
oh fuck beforehand.
He's like, oh fuck. And she's like, do you swear to me that everything said about those fireflies is true? And Joel isn't like, I swear. He like looks her dead in the eyes, he's like, I swear.
Yeah.
He's just like, just lies to her. Like, he doesn't pause, he doesn't flinch, he doesn't panic, he doesn't like avert his eyes, he doesn't swear. He's just like,
I swear.
You
do see in the eyes that he's lying, though, I feel. Like,
yeah, she knows he's lying.
yeah. And
She
that was a
already
moment,
would have
she
known
already
that
knew
he's
she was lying, and that was a moment, a test of character, if you will. Like, are you going to be honest with me?
And he's like, no.
I feel like if he was honest with her, she would have accepted it. But now, it's probably going to cause issues.
Yeah.
Like, I would be like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, if someone...
She
You can see sometimes. I feel like it's happened to everyone at some point. You fucking know someone's lying to you.
Yeah.
And they still do it straight to your
And
face.
she was emotionally invested in this journey and this purpose, and he has unwritten it all because of not logic and not for like the greater good, but because of emotion and because he's lost his daughter and he's just found another daughter.
He can't do it again.
He can't lose another daughter, so he's willing to destroy humanity rather than lose his daughter. But he's done this dark, brutal thing, and now he's lying to her.
Mm-hmm. And now they're supposed to go and live in just a casual, comfy life, like with that amount of fucking like deception.
How'd you guys go? Yeah, real good.
They couldn't do anything yet. There's no more tests they could run. Tommy's like, there's no fucking way. So, nah, it is cunt.
Did you murder anyone innocent, Joel? Nah. They were raiders.
Why would he ask Joel that? He knows Joel would murder innocent cunts.
But like, did you, in this instance,
Joel, how many Joel?
Nah. Raiders.
How many?
And then it cuts to credits, and I'm like, oh my god, that's it. Just how it ends. Crazy
as well. Bella Ramsey, she had the tears in her eyes, like the emotion.
There were several moments.
Too much
there were several moments here that I wrote down in specific moments, which I may not have hit, where I was like, Bella Ramsey just like fucking nailed it without any dialogue. When you can act like a realization and an emotion on your face and your body language without any dialogue, that's like upper tier acting.
That is peak.
And there were a couple in these last two episodes. Pedro Pascal also did very well.
I mean, at this point, it's normal though. Kudos to Pedro Pascal, because you always do, but at this point, I'm like, you're so fucking good, cunt.
I've said so many times that the budget and the sets and the realism, so I wasn't going to hit on all that as well. But overall, I mean, what a fucking ending. What a crazy, complex, sophisticated, emotional roller coaster that ends in this weird cliffhanger here. Oh my god, Mark.
Yeah.
Crazy, amazing. Yeah, I thought this was brilliant. This whole thing. It was fucking brilliant, Mark. It was brilliant. It wasn't good, it wasn't great. It was like, generally, I got to the end,
masterpiece.
And I was like, yeah, that was brilliant. That was better than House of the Dragon. That was fucking awesome. That was amazing.
Overall, I would say I agree completely with you. There's obviously some things I would change. I would have liked to have seen, and I'm not sure why they changed, but I get it after watching the entire thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, it all kind of fell into place. And I absolutely love it. And I'm going to watch it several times.
I've watched every episode 3 times in doing these reviews. That's my process. But before season 2 comes out, I'm gonna smoke all the weed and rewatch this season in like a year and a half's time, and it's gonna be a high point of my life.
Oh, going straight into
season 2, and it's gonna be multiple seasons.
I had to deal with that ending without knowing the number 2 is coming.
Yeah.
At least everyone knows there's going to be a season 2 because they've announced it, but I had no fucking idea.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, he's choosing to lie to her.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's a crazy way to end it if that's it.
That was it.
It's such a like emotional and dialogue based cliffhanger as well. It's not like a big reveal of a crazy infected that's really
some
big
monster.
Shows the horizon and a horde of fucking infected coming over. It's like Joel lied to Ellie.
Everything.
And you're like House of the Dragon was like the war starting because the fucking dragon. It was amazing. But I feel like this is just more low-key and emotional, but just as impactful, if not more impactful. Which is interesting. It's not a big action set piece.
They're both emotional, but this has all been building to this point. And it's...
What an arc.
Yeah,
what
exactly. Exactly, it's not a happy ending.
No.
It's a sad, broken ending.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say about The Last of Us, Mark? We've talked about it for 5 hours.
I've
enjoyed every moment of watching, reviewing, talking about this television show. When you asked me years ago, when it was announced it was going to be a show, that can we review The Last of Us? I'm like, yeah, we can review The Last of Us. I will, give you this. You can have this.
Thank you, Alex.
And I didn't realise it would be such a joy for me. And it was.
Yeah, there's a reason why I have been obsessed with this for so many years, because the storytelling in it, it's not just a game. People argue it's more of a movie than a game. It's like, okay, good. It's fucking brilliant. It's deep. It's dark. The characters aren't just your lovey-dovey fucking whatever. Everyone's gonna have a happy ending in the end. No, cunts are gonna get stabbed in the throat. They're gonna fall down dead. They're gonna fucking die, and that's the end of them. And it's fucking real.
Yeah.
It's not Marvel or fucking Star Wars or...
It's complex, it's for adults, it's interesting, it's sophisticated, it's realistic, it's
even though
brilliant.
It's a zombie apocalypse, it's so down to earth.
Yeah, it's not Ant-Man fucking Quantum of Solace.
They didn't play too
Quantumania.
much into the Infected, so it became just a violent, gory fucking zombie movie.
That people are angry about that,
away
but
from that.
I don't know.
What a
I've
choice.
spent like the last 15 years of my life watching The Sopranos, watching Boardwalk Empire, watching Mad Men, watching like boring adult dramas where people talk, and this was that, and it was fucking amazing.
I feel like at this point, obviously people are going to disagree with me when I say this, but do you play or watch The Last of Us for a crazy zombie movie, action sequences or whatever, or do you play it for the ridiculously well written and deep emotional moments and characters that are in this story?
No.
Like fucking retard. Sure, it's fun to shoot cunts, but I have literally watched a YouTube cut of just the movie before I knew there was going to be a series, just to watch the story without having to play the game. You know, and I just... well done, Neil Druckmann. Well done.
Craig Mazin, Neil Druckmann, Pedro Pascal, Bella Ramsey, everyone else was involved. I tip my hat to you, sir. Thank you.
Obviously goes to them too, but Neil Druckmann's like the guy who
He
wrote
created the
He
video
created
game. Yeah, he's the George R. Martin.
it. Yeah, exactly.
He's the George... Wait, did I say?
You said George R. R. Martin.
Yeah.
J.R. Tolkien.
J.R. Tolkien.
Yeah,
My
exactly.
nerd brain has drunk too many beers.
He wanted it to be told right, so he got involved.
And got involved in this, and he, was adamant in, like, well, not adamant, but he was accepting of changes and of the mediums changing, and he worked with Craig Mazin and made a brilliant show.
I was so worried.
You were. There was, I think in our Endor review, you're like, it's gonna be shit.
Well, I was terrified. I'm so used to being shit.
The Last Jedi.
Dude, there's so many. The Book of Boba Fett.
Picard. So many times beloved intellectual properties have been dragged through the
It
glass.
just seemed
and
impossible at this point that we could get it be good.
And not only good, but like one of the best pieces of television of the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
If not like, one of my top 10 pieces of television ever. And if they nail like 3 more seasons and wrap it up.
There's going to be a lot. I'm not going to say anything about the second season or third season or whatever the fuck, because they've said they're going to split it into multiple seasons. There's going to be a lot of controversy in the second season, because there was with the game, and that wasn't because of the gameplay, that was because of the story. There's going to be a lot of controversy, and Neil Druckmann says he doesn't give a fuck about criticism. He's going to tell the story how it's supposed to be
That's a
told.
proper artist.
Right?
Proper artist is making art for themselves and not worried about offending.
Well, can you imagine, right? There's a
X.
bunch of people who love the games. A lot of people turned away from it for whatever reasons to do with it. And why would you... Okay, we're going to change it into cinema and just fucking shit all over the people who loved the game and change it to make the people who didn't happy.
Imagine any art that took in consideration offensive fans. Imagine if the Beatles like took LSD and said, you know what, the fans might not like if we completely changed our musical genre and revolutionized the music industry in a more impactful manner than anyone ever before. Imagine if Tarantino was making Reservoir Dogs and he's like, you know what, people might not like the scene where the guy cuts off the other man's ear and throws petrol on him and dances around in a completely violent and jovial, happy manner. I mean, that's just not how art is created. It's not created in an environment where you're taking into the consideration of everyone's offense.
Exactly, but these days that's so rare to come by.
That's why there's not a lot of good art these days.
That's fair.
Roll the trailer for Ant-Man Quantumania. Thank you and good night.
Have you actually seen it?
No.
Because I haven't watched it, it looks terrible.